What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Slap.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
All right, welcome into the Sports Hounds Monday night. We are the Sports Hounds exclusively on a2dradio.com. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. We got Doug Minkiewicz, we got Brian Ryer, we got myself, Rob Brinkman, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube. Download us wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Each and every Monday, we are brought to you by Baggio's Breads, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. Now open from 9 to 3 p.m. on Sunday. Same deal on Sundays, 10% off. Just mention A2D Radio. They are the best. Get your Saturday and Sunday tailgate and football watching platters at Baggio's Breads right there in Mount Laurel. We got big time college football to talk about. We got big time NFL football to talk about. A huge slate on Saturday. A lot went down. Coach Prime, I've been itching to talk about Coach Prime. I love this guy. An absolute epic game on Saturday night if you were able to stay up and watch it into the wee hours of the morning. Now, it didn't quite go Colorado's way in terms of what the experts were thinking about that game. They were 24-point favorites. They win in double overtime. But at 98-yard drive, I mean, I don't understand how you can't be a fan of Coach Prime. I mean, if you're not a fan of Coach Prime, either you don't like the sport or you just have some preconceived prejudice against Coach Prime. And, Doug, we've talked about this before, how kind of the new kids on the block in college football, they get treated, not so great. It happened with Miami when you were growing up, Florida State with Bowden. The Notre Dames, the Oklahomas, they're allowed to blow teams out. They're allowed to, have swag and all this other stuff. But when Coach Prime comes in and has some swag, it's a problem, and people don't like it. I don't understand how you can't be a fan of this guy. That brings us to our poll question tonight. Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes are good for college football. I agree. I love, especially when you're getting into college football and this transfer portal and you have to do things in new ways to get talent and develop talent. I mean, it's awesome. Coach Prime's awesome. That game, that Colorado State game was better than anything in the NFL yesterday. Brad, I know you had an exciting comeback against the Arizona Cardinals, but that Colorado State game on Saturday night, that was better than anything the NFL had to offer on Sunday. So I think
the Seattle game was pretty good too.
But you had chippiness, you had a rivalry that was reborn, you had
that's true.
Coaches that didn't like each other. I mean, it was awesome. You had the best receiver in the game knocked out by a cheap hit for the next 3 weeks. There's got to be a receipt for that coming down the line. I mean, they play each other every year. It's an in-state rivalry. But, I mean, I love Coach Prime. They're going up, I believe it's at Oregon at 3:30 next Saturday, and I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
I think they're going to win.
Wow. Stop.
No?
Stop. I'm all for Dion. I'm all for him. Trust me. I get it. There's so many positive things. There's no way College Game Day goes to Colorado without Prime, right? Okay. He's living the dream times 10, right? He gets a D1 program, coaching his sons. Does it get any better than that?
No.
But like at the end of the day, like, trust me, he's, a team that's never won one game last year. Okay, so that's all that being said. Pump the brakes. They've beaten 3 high school teams. Don't give me TCU. That wasn't even a smidgen of the TCU team last year. Okay, reality is going to set in here They beat one of the 3 ranked teams. I'll buy into it. My problem I have with it, okay, is that whatever happened to walking quietly and carrying a big stick, okay, like you're gonna get like the hit, right? The hit on Travis Hunter. You're gonna get retaliation. At the end of the day, I have a problem. I get you. They haven't seen a win in a long time. They beat Colorado State, mind you, at home. It took a 98-yard drive with 2 minutes left and double overtime to beat a 24-point underdog, and you storm the field. Huh? Like, what? What are we doing? Like, act like you've been there before. I know you haven't, and I get it. He's great, right, to bring notoriety to a place in his kids, and I believe he's an old-school coach with a flair. God bless him. He's teaching those kids things that, like, they would never learn at any other institution. That being said, I feel for other teams that, like, of this year's teams, are they a great story? Absolutely. Do they deserve game day to play Colorado State? No. Colorado State stinks. Like, they're terrible. They're god-awful. They haven't been good. They've never been good. When Sonny Lubick had them, they were decent, but that was it. They've been god-awful. And when you run your mouth the way that it, like, you make it personal, you're going to get cheap shots thrown at you. It's just the reality of it. And you know what? When I see them go up against someone, and I don't even think Oregon's very good, quite honestly. I don't think Oregon's very good at all. USC is their true test. USC can put 70 or 80 points on them because they have Charles Kelly as their defensive coordinator. And we all know, if you're a Florida State fan, I think Charles Kelly's name is synonymous with Bucky effing Dent when it comes to Charles effing Kelly because of how bad he is at being a defensive coordinator. So, again, like, to bring all that hoopla and craziness to college football, I have no problem with that. I have none. And it's been thrown out, and I'll go one better. Okay. Trust me, I am not for something you write on social media penalizing you down the road. I just feel like social media is supposed to be social, right? You shouldn't, whether it's right or wrong, you believe in it or not, I don't think one thing you write should be the death sentence for you. But when Colorado's quarterback comes out and writes, "You're a HOE" on social media and nothing's done about it, where's the double standard? If you can't take the heat, you shouldn't play. That's part of being an athlete. You have to be able to take what some people – you're not going to please everybody, and not everybody is going to love you no matter what. Everything's great and wonderful, but when there's expectations, trust me, they won't be singing the same praise if he goes out and gets drubbed by 70 the next 2 weeks. It's just the reality of it. And it has nothing to do with who he is or what he says. That's just the nature of sports in today's world. You have millions of social media people who are keyboard tough guys who are bagging on someone as a pro, saying he sucks or whatever, and they never even made it out of high school. Like, yeah, I might suck at the pro level, but I am a mythological creature compared to your athletic ability. So that's my point. Like, how can you come out and say I think the quote was, "You're nothing but a hoe." And it's like, just because someone didn't agree with everything you've done or got in a disagreement with somebody else in your organization, he's allowed to say that, but you have people that are losing their jobs for 20, 30 years because of one tweet or one quote or one post on social media. You can't have it both ways.
No, you're right. You're right about that. Although I'll tell you what, though, they are making it entertaining, and that's what
this sport is.
Yeah,
it's must-see TV. Whether you love it or hate it, it's must-see TV.
Absolutely.
That's what Prime always was. Deion in his day, whether you loved him or hate him, you glued into the TV. So for that, I'm all for it.
Hey, Doug, do you remember when he was with the Yankees and he drew the dollar bill sign in the batter's box and Carlton Fisk wanted to beat him up?
Right. You got two things to do. Like, either put up or shut up. Either he's going to keep running his mouth. Hey, he keeps winning. He can say whatever the hell he wants to.
That's what he does, though.
He's responsible for his own kids. He doesn't give a damn what everybody else says. And that's what I love about him, is that in the end all be all, I have a little bit of side piece to this because he's bitter at Florida State because they didn't give him a chance at the job. I understand it. I get it. Timing's everything. I just don't think we were ready. I don't know what happened behind closed doors, how serious he was about it or not, but I know he's got like an ill will towards Florida State, and I never get involved in someone else's business when I don't know everything or I don't know or even act to know. I can understand how that might come about, but at the end of the day, he's must-see TV. Always has been, always will be. He's a showman. Hey, give me a number. He's had to increase Colorado's apparel line by billions. They're selling Colorado hats all over the country, and I don't even think Boulder had Colorado hats, 6 months ago.
No.
I'm guilty. I bought a Coach Prime shirt last Saturday night. It didn't come in the mail yet, so I don't have it on right now.
You gotta love it.
I just love this guy.
Those sunglasses. Love the sunglasses though. The sunglasses with the two W's in the on the front.
He's going to have to. To me, he should go to Auburn. You want to talk about must-see TV, right? He's already on Nick Saban's with Aflac commercials. Could you imagine them going head to toe, every year? That's the thing. People are going. All the stuff that's going on around this whole fiasco is right. It's it's race. It's this. It's that. And you're like, hang on a second. People don't like Nick Saban, and Nick Saban's the best, probably arguably will die the best college football coach to ever walk the sidelines, right? Not everybody loves him. Not everybody likes playing for him.
Not everybody like Bear Bryant either. So
exactly. If you're great at what you do, you're gonna have as a quote unquote, they call them haters. You're gonna have haters. But at the end of the day, one thing I don't like Nick Saban for what he did to the Dolphins. But at the same token, it's hard to argue with a man with 6 national championships. He's great. He's a great college coach, the best ever, in my opinion. But I don't necessarily love him. But at the same token, it's not. He don't think Nick Saban gives a damn what I think. He doesn't care, and the great ones don't.
Bob Brinkman hopefully does not use the platform to showcase his son and then leave. I don't think he's going to coach in the NFL. I don't get that vibe from him. I think he likes the college game. I think he likes mentoring young kids. I could be wrong. He could get a lot of money from Jerry World or whoever and go to the NFL, but I don't get the vibe that he wants to be a college coach. Now, I could see him going to an Auburn, to a higher profile Division I college job.
He's going to go
eventually.
He's going to go to an SEC team, if not sooner than later. If he keeps this up, and again, it's is it okay? A better question. Another question is, do you think he's winning because his son's the quarterback? His son's pretty damn talented, right? Other sons is, in the defensive backfield, returns a pick six, right? What does he do with the Chiefs?
How many transfers did he get?
Well, it's not hard to get transfers when you have a. When basically if you're 1-10 in college football in the Big 12, there's 90 kids there that don't know what they're doing. Let's be honest.
No, but I'm just saying, but a lot of kids transferred to that school as soon as he was named coach.
Yeah,
he brought anyone who was worth a damn at Jackson State went with them to Colorado, including the number one player in the whole country that he poached from Nick Saban in Alabama.
And that's
he's going to get kids wherever he goes.
And that's where I totally agree with. That's why, as much as I don't necessarily, it's not my style about, look at me and look at us, you let your record show that. At the same token, on that same breath, holy hell, we want to talk about HBCU, this has done more for that conference and those colleges than anything, because Prime gave them, right? Everybody always said they can't compete. Well, hang on a second. Basically, Jackson State is 3-0 in the Big 12. So, that's what for that, I'm like, man, praise this man to the heavens, because there's been a lot of good to great coaches that haven't been noticed because of that conference. And now this is wonderful. But at the same token, it's when you take a organization or a university that's 1-10 and hasn't been relevant since Cordell Stewart went there. Like,
yeah, that was a long time ago too.
It doesn't take much. Now, expectations. I'm curious. There's a lot of steps to this. Like this, does like after his sons graduate, then what happens? Like, does he stay? Does he go? There's a lot. I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't need money. I think part of me is like, I guarantee you, probably someone told him he couldn't do it. And now he's going to prove everybody wrong that he can.
I think he might stay a little bit just to make a point.
I don't know. Someone's going to come. I mean, how many SEC jobs?
Especially now.
I mean, you got to think like somewhere like a Mississippi State, Auburn, right? He might be holding out for, he does.
Maybe he's holding out for Alabama when Saban retires.
Maybe. You never know. I mean,
would Alabama want a guy like him though? I mean, he is. I mean, he listen.
It's different.
I love Dion. Don't get me wrong, but he's a different cat. I just don't know if he fits like the Alabama image. Like I could never see Notre Dame bringing him in.
No, but at the end of the day, wins. Notre Dame had Brian Kelly, like Mr. Second Place for decades.
But he's not good. I mean, Dion is. I don't know. I think if he went to Notre Dame, it would be pretty damn.
You think does he go to Mississippi State? Does he go to an Arkansas? Does he go, or does he hold out for like an Auburn or an upper?
How old's Saban? How old's Nick Saban?
He's got to be 70, 72. He's got to be.
He's
70.
getting up there.
And his like the dynasty has crumbled. If anybody had to force watching that game, like that was putrid. That was horrible.
Alabama doesn't have a quarterback.
Well, I don't understand is why don't they put the kid like you let the kid go out there Milroe play against Texas, and then it's 7-3 at 3-3 at halftime against South Florida.
They yank them.
If we picked up like 15 more people than this podcast, we could give South Florida. I feel like if I took you two and 7 of my closest friends for a half, we could shut down South Florida's offense. I really do. And
maybe a quarter.
Gracious, like maybe a drive, but like because I'm not in shape. But I mean, honestly, like that's when's the last we ever seen Alabama and they had to score within a minute to make it 17-3. So, in the world of college football, I'm curious to see like, okay, we all know what Prime did to get to this point. He throws out a 9-3, right? Even a 7-4 year. Holy moly! Like what happens? Like what?
Well, he's going to go to a bowl game, and that bowl game, even if it's not a great bowl game, that bowl game will be sold out.
It will be sold out in 30 seconds.
Yep, exactly.
And then I'm just talking about like now what? Now like he might be able to pick anybody he wants that's in the portal. There's a serious consideration that he goes there, and who knows between the portal.
Yeah, he may just want to have. He's got a situation there where he can just take the whole program and build it up for himself. Have a nice little thing there, and imagine all the credit he would get if they become a national powerhouse and they continue and stay a national powerhouse.
Right. But I mean, let's be honest. Like both his sons, Travis Hunter, are not your typical HBCU kids. Like
no,
Travis Hunter was signed, sealed, delivered at Florida State since 7th grade. And he's the number one. Number one recruits don't go to HBCUs. They just don't. And neither does, I don't know. I think Shiloh was a 4-star. They rarely get those kids too. Without Dion being there, I don't think he goes to Jackson State. My point is like, yeah, it's technically they came from Jackson State, but like, let's be honest, like there's at least 5 or 6, maybe more. I'm missing probably 10 other kids that really truly aren't HBCU kids, right? You out of the normal you normally get, right? You don't see a lot of 4-stars going, even to mid majors, let alone. Kansas State builds their program on 3-stars, right? They just develop them and keep them. So, I mean, like I said, until I'm curious, very curious to see how they do against Oregon and USC?
James Edgefield. Granted, he only beat TCU, Colorado State. You throw Nebraska in there too, but he beat them with a bunch of HBCU kids who, by the way, weren't supposed to be able to play with a Division I college. I mean, what's that about, though? I mean, like, is he just coaching these kids up? Are they just working hard and buying into Coach Prime so they can be? I mean, outside of Hunter and Sanders,
He got some kids from other places. He didn't bring the entire club with him. He brought the cream of the crop. Like I said, the kids that honestly, without Dion being in the HBCU, they don't go there. I don't care. I'm not really 100% familiar with
but how? No one's transferring to Colorado who went 1-11 last year.
When Prime got there, they were.
Yeah,
when
correct.
Right. For sure. When Prime got there, they were. I just like
how long?
Go ahead.
So how long until he's a playoff contender? Like, I agree with you. I think that there's at least 2 losses on their schedule. I think USC, they're just going to get outclassed and probably lose that game. And then Utah, I don't think that's a good matchup because Colorado, they have a lot of skill players, but in the trenches, they still got some work to do. And Utah is big and tough, and they got all these Samoans all over the place in the trenches. So that's going to be a tough game for them. So that's at least 2 losses. We'll see what happens Saturday.
Stop it. TCU put 40 on them. What do you think Oregon's going to do? Like, what do you think? Like again, TCU is not anywhere close to where they're a fart in the wind, in my opinion. They ran the table last year where God knows they didn't belong there in the first place, and they got there and they ran one game and they got absolutely destroyed in the national championship game, which a lot of teams would against Georgia team. I get that, but do I think they can score on anybody? Absolutely. They're going to put points up against both of those teams because, any team Lincoln Riley has can't stop anybody either in USC. So, Oregon is not exactly a juggernaut.
So you think it's just totally out of the question that they win on Saturday against Oregon and they beat a Washington team?
Zero
shot?
They have 0 shot of beating Oregon. And I'm not an Oregon believer. I think Oregon's very overrated because Bo Nix might throw 5 picks just as well as he might throw 5 touchdowns.
So if they rattle Bo Nix, which I don't think it's not so far out of the question that could happen, and he has a 4 turnover day, Bo Nix, you don't think Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes can go up there and win? No shot?
They have no shot. They can't stop anybody. Did you see how bad the Colorado State quarterback was? Did you see how bad that guy was? That guy was terrible. That guy was horrible. And they had the lead. They took 3 points off the board, then threw 2 plays later threw a pick 6. Should have thrown a pick the play before that too.
Yeah,
so
I was dozing off, and that pick 6 was real quick.
Horrendous. But again, they got Oregon, USC, UCLA, Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah.
I got 2 losses. there. I got USC and Utah as losses. Oregon State, I mean, come on,
they have Clemson's ex-quarterback, who, by the way, was a 5-star. Okay.
Why isn't he at Clemson anymore if he's so great?
Because they didn't want him anymore. Because they tried to make him be somebody
he's
he
a
wasn't.
5-star recruit.
He's been absolutely lights out since. Look at his stats this year at Oregon State.
Stats. They're doing well. They've won 7 straight games at whatever for the first time since 2000 or something like that.
You don't think
Chip Kelly?
You don't think Chip Kelly's offense can score on that defense if TCU can?
I hope Coach Prime beats Chip Kelly, that loser, by.
Again, I'm not saying that Colorado can't put points up. Those boys can put points up. I think they can put points on anybody. But eventually, you have to stop somebody. And what prolific offense have they faced yet? None.
Nobody really, not yet.
They were 24-point favorites at home, and it took them double overtime. And they went ahead,
I lost.
And they made a complete ass out of themselves by rushing the field. Like
That was ridiculous. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
they shouldn't have done that.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to. Like, I know it's been a while since they've been relevant again, but like when they put a minus and a double-digit number in the 20s on your side, you're not supposed to rush the field with a 7.
When was the last time that they beat Colorado State? I guess that's my question. Has it been a long time? Has it been like a really like?
It's a big rivalry.
I know, but like, was it like a Kansas State kind of thing?
13 people know about.
Yeah, I mean, because
Colorado State.
you remember Kansas and Kansas State. I mean, Kansas State used to get their. Was it Kansas or Kansas State that used to get their brains beat in every year, and then finally the other team finally had a good team and beat them? I just can't.
Yeah, Kansas. If we're talking football, it was probably Kansas State beat Kansas every year.
Yeah, and then finally one year Kansas had a pretty good team and they beat them and they rushed the field. That's I'm just wondering maybe maybe Colorado State has been
read off
handing it to them for a long time.
Some of these juggernaut powerhouses in Colorado State's conference: Air Force, Fresno State, UNLV, Wyoming. Josh Allen's not coming back. San Diego State, Boise State. That runs over. New Mexico, Hawaii, San Jose State, Nevada, who it's like you pay them to come play you at your place, and Utah State.
Hawaii's.
I get it.
Hawaii's.
I get it. It wasn't a good look. They should have. If they wanted.
I'm not hating.
Are they going to beat Hawaii?
If I wanted people in my corner about Coach Prime, they would have had to won and covered and not rush the field like a bunch of jackasses. I get that, but I'm bought in. And Doug, when I'm bought in on something, I'm all in. I can't wait till 3:30. I can't wait till 3:30 on Saturday afternoon so I can watch Colorado and Oregon. Because win, lose, cover the spread, not cover the spread, it's going to be exciting. And I think they're going to win.
That was Colorado State's only ranked opponent they have all year. And they lost by 7 points in double overtime. Washington State put 50 on them. 50.
On who?
Colorado State. And Colorado put 43 up in double overtime at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just happy they won. Because then
I feel like they lost to Colorado. You're mad because they didn't cover.
I said I lost because they didn't cover. That's fine. I lose bets all the time. I lost to Tennessee. My man Josh Heupel, been talking him up for weeks and weeks. He goes down to Gainesville and they get their brains beat in again. And then did you see the end of that game where he called the timeout with like 6 seconds left? And just,
what are you doing?
The guy's running around and then the guy takes a cheap shot at him and causes a whole fight. Like, I don't know. I'm out on Josh Heupel. I like him. I like the system.
I get that you can be mad at the officials. That game was like, if you're a Tennessee fan, you could see like the officiating was horrendous towards them, right? But worse than the officials was your quarterback. Goodness gracious, he's a typical, like in a baseball term, he's that guy that measures out really well. He's got 120 exit velo. Ooh, he throws 109 miles an hour off the mound. And when the game starts, he shrinks and he stinks because he has no touch. He's a measure. I mean, he can throw a ball 90 yards. Woo, great. But guess what? You can't throw a 6-yard slant because you throw it behind him or to the other color jersey or, you know what I mean? It's just like, what?
Not accurate enough.
Like, what are we doing? Like, you're going to run this spread offense and then you're going to run the ball down 16 in the third quarter? Like, what? And they made Florida look like really good. And, like, don't even get me started on the rankings.
Stinks.
Don't even get me started on the rankings.
Florida stinks. They're terrible.
How does Florida beat them and Tennessee still rank ahead of them? I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, I think your boys down in Tallahassee have a huge gripe with the rankings because you guys go up to Boston College.
We should have dropped. We should have dropped more than we did. Quite frankly, there's no reason why we should stay.
I have a hard time.
I can understand if you watch the whole game. 31-10.
Texas played Wyoming. Didn't you just rattle off Wyoming as in that trash conference with Colorado State?
Mm-hmm.
Texas was not good in that game. Like BC on the road, power like
Yeah, but
Power
if you
5
watch that
opponent,
game,
like
they beat us in the first quarter and they beat us in the fourth quarter. I mean, if you watch the middle of that game, it was 31-10 with like a minute left in the third quarter. And like just
You went to sleep.
when the wheels fell off. We literally didn't have a penalty on offense until we were up 31-10, and then we couldn't stop making them. So, and we got banged up, and don't get me wrong, like Boston College, you want to talk about gift wrapping a game? If that game was another 35 seconds longer, we lose. And that's reality. We looked completely like we didn't prepare. We were sleepwalking. Now, rumor has it that they didn't make any qualms about it, but from what I heard, like almost every kid on that team had a bad flu, and they were all jacked up, and they are getting IVs in between quarters and halves, and which is not unheard of in college football. But like I heard they were all jacked up, and they weren't like none of them were really 100%. No excuse, which I love the fact that you didn't hear about that before the game or during the game. They weren't making excuses. Look, that kid ran all over us, and we should have lost. They had 18 penalties. So, but I don't fall. I'm not a big fan of rising and falling if you win. It depends on how it looks. Now, like does Georgia get penalized because they came back and beat South Carolina? No. I think just the way it looks, like Florida State was on the ropes. That game goes another minute, we lose. And I'm not saying, but at the end of the day, the rankings don't mean anything till middle of November. So like that's why I don't like preseason rankings, because we don't know. You have no idea. Did anybody know that Alabama was only going to score 3.5 points against South Florida? Did they realize? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
and that was shocking.
It was terrible, but it's not who Alabama has been for, where they have 100 and God knows they had 138 weeks of being in the top 10 or something like that. Something unbelievably crazy.
Yeah,
they just broke it. But like that's what the preseason stuff is. You're guessing. So, that's why I would say like don't have any rankings till at least week 4, and then you can kind of go from there. But I get it. This is a money-making thing, and they want the top 10 matchups in the first week and whatever. But who's to say that Notre Dame beats Ohio State? Ohio State beats Notre Dame in Notre Dame. Do they jump in the 4? So like it's a disaster. But at the same token, like
I think Ohio State's going to bitch slap them. To be honest with you,
I don't know. Sam Hartman's 35 years old. I mean, my God.
I don't know. I like Notre Dame.
He should have retired last year. If he was an NFL guy, he'd be retiring in 2 years because he's too old. But he's like 30.
Well,
but
that's why he went from Wake Forest to Notre Dame. He said he wants to get like in a more pro style system so he can try and make the league.
Don't get me wrong.
I don't know if
he's. I mean, Wake Forest ran a funky scheme, kind
run
of
and shoot gimmick.
But the dude's accurate as hell. I mean, like he doesn't miss, and I'm curious. That's the only reason why I want to watch him play against Ohio State, because I feel like almost every year, right? Michigan, Ohio State get the benefit of the doubt. Alabama, Georgia now lately get the benefit of the doubt, right? No matter what. And it's like the SEC, they have how many one-loss teams already still in the top 25, which they should understand if that's what you think. But, like, that's what I mean. Like, at some point, reality has to set in somewhere. Like Clemson drops out after losing to Duke. Okay, that makes sense. But they were on the road. If you were so adamant about Clemson being a top 10 team before the season starts, one bad game just completely blows it out of the water. Like does Texas drop because they didn't beat Wyoming by 90 points?
No, Texas went up. They're 3 now over Florida State.
I know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I mean,
but right now the rankings.
I watched Memorial Day night or whenever it was. I watched Florida State bitch slap LSU, and if LSU is kind of on track now, they bitch slapped Mississippi State.
If you just took last week's game, and I guarantee you, LSU fans felt better about their team than Florida State did about theirs at 3-0. I guarantee it. That's how fickle and how week to week this thing is.
Yeah, but we see this all the time. Because you got the showdown with Clemson in Clemson next week, which is going to be a great triple header of football next Saturday. So happy I'm on vacation so I can watch it. But like, you don't think Florida State was guilty of looking ahead, especially when you're up 31-10 with 2 minutes left in the third?
I think
BC no less.
I
So
think the
they're not
lead.
great.
I think the lead had something to do with it. They came out sluggish, and they scored on the next 5 or 6. But like, we had a lot of dudes injured. I mean, Jordan Travis came out of the game with a bum shoulder. Akeem Dent, our safety, which he pulled a hamstring the week before against Southern Miss, and I didn't realize he was that important to our defense. But we looked completely lost without him at safety. The list goes on and on. We were out 2 offensive linemen. So, like, all these injuries are starting to mount up. And it's like – and I feel like every year we play Clemson, we are banged up to the max. And, again, it goes back to not who you play, but it's when you play them. And that's – but, like, again, it's – we have more to lose than Clemson has to gain in this game coming up.
Yeah, that's true. I still think you guys are going to find a way to beat them, though. I'm not convinced Clemson is that great this year.
As a fan – of the team that's being the visitor, I'm glad last week happened. I'm glad.
Because they woke up.
About the Clemson game now than I did if we would have won 66-3.
Yeah, because they won't. Because they'll know that they can. They'll know that they can.
They can't stop.
Yeah, they have to. They have to put their foot down on the gas and keep it on the gas.
And Michael's right. Every single SEC school should want prime.
Oh, absolutely.
There's another question from James Edgefield. Do you think, guys, that Colorado winning with the powers that could be influencing the rankings, can you just imagine how much money they would make if Coach Prime was in the playoffs / championship? I don't think they're ready for that. But
no, not,
they have to go undefeated. Everyone in the Pac-12 has to go undefeated.
Yeah.
You go undefeated in the Pac-12 and you might get in. Maybe.
Well, I think this year you do. Guaranteed. I don't think you can say that in the last couple of years, but I mean.
Well, with 8 teams, yeah. With 8, is this year they have 8 teams or is it next year?
No, they have 4 this year, 8
last year.
Yeah, they're not getting. No, they're not getting in this year, even if they go undefeated.
It just sucks because, I mean, you think if Georgia wins the SEC, they're only getting 1 rep. Wouldn't you think? You already have LSU with a loss, which would be 2 if they make it the championship game. Like, there's no one.
And they're going to play Bama.
No one. I mean, the only undefeated team in the SEC that matters is Georgia. So that opens up. You got to figure whoever wins the. If they both stay undefeated, whoever wins the Ohio State-Michigan game, they're in. Because the Big Ten West.
Penn State. I was all Penn State up. Penn State's not that good.
They're the same team every year. They're overrated between 7 and 12 every year. They can't beat anybody good.
No, they can't seem to get over the hump.
And then there's an open spot, right? You have the ACC maybe, because I think the ACC this year is as good as it's been in a long damn time. Miami's coming. North Carolina, which I don't know how they can continually squeak out against App State and almost lose. And they almost lose a game like that every year. And they throw a clunker in there somewhere every year, but they're always ranked in the top 20. Don't sleep on Louisville. They don't play anybody, so they might have a great ACC record. They might sneak into the championship game. But you're looking at Clemson, Miami, Florida State, North Carolina. NC State's defense is always really good. Like I said, Louisville's got no one on their schedule. They don't play Florida State. They don't play Miami. I don't think they play Clemson either. So it's like, Duke. Don't forget about Duke. Duke's. I mean, granted, Clemson beat Clemson.
That quarterback looks good. Ryan O'Reilly, I think his name is.
That game's starting to make me a little nervous. Like, that's the game that makes me nervous because
Duke looks pretty good.
Let's put it this way: you go to Florida State, you're getting up for Clemson, you're getting up for Miami, you're getting up for Florida, but to try to talk your kids into you got to get up for Duke, it just doesn't sound right.
Same with BC though. That's why I'm not overly.
BC always plays this tough though. Like last year was a fluke because BC had so many. They had like 8 offensive linemen hurt at once, and they were playing whoever they could on the offensive line. And that it was at home. We returned the opening kickoff, and it was just completely. They were overmatched. Like they always have big lines. They can pound the ball against you, and I mean, even when we won in 2013, we went up there and took a Hail Mary before half when we first took the lead of that game. I think we won 41 or 48-34. We gave up 34 points against them.
Let's see, Ryan Swoop. Rob, what's your thoughts about Prime building his team defensively from the outside in? Usually it's inside out. Will that be a continuous priority with Prime in the future? Can he win long-term that way? Will the defense struggle that way versus the run? Well, look, it's way easier for Coach Prime. Like, it's way easier to get skill guys. You know, you got to get those guys first, get the talent in the door, build a foundation, get some wins. And then, you know, the big hosses up front will come, hopefully.
Yeah, he's going to get.
So,
it takes time to build. It really takes time to build a program.
When you think about bringing in 89 new players, I don't care if you know them or not, to put them and then get them to where they don't look completely discombobulated is just a minor miracle of its own. So that's what I don't think he gets enough credit for, of being the actual X's and O's guys that he is. He learned under Mickey Andrews and Bobby Bowden. Like, there's just, I mean, you think about, like, there's a lot of Mickey Andrews in him. And that, like, that type of, like, that's hard to do, to get 90 new kids to buy into a system that they don't know about. Even if the ones they came from Jackson State, it's still different. You're still bringing in new players. You got to teach that, learn each other, da-da-da. That's a lot to do. You give him.
Don't forget though. He also played for the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers when they were great teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he knows how he knows what it's like and how to get a great team together.
He knows how to work the room.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, look, I mean, he's on every company in the world is trying to get him to, like, promote their stuff with commercials. He knows how to work a room. He knows how to work the moms. He knows how to work the dads. He knows how to, you know, talk to the defensive linemen saying, hey, as a DB, I needed you guys to create pressure, made my job easier. You know, so, like, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to go into places and say the right things to get guys to believe it. Because, I mean, my gosh, they can't say that they don't believe in him. My goodness gracious. It's a spectacle every time he steps on the field.
Yeah, they have certainly done an incredible job this season.
I mean, think about it. He's first time he's been a Division I coach. I don't care how much football you know. It's still different when you're the head guy, right? He had some trial runs at HBCU with Jackson State, but it's still not D1. So, like, my goodness gracious, like, he's been along the sideline. I said, I've been in a million dugouts as a player. When you're the head guy, it changes a little bit. So, you know, kudos to him. He's done. I said he's like, if you're a Colorado fan, enjoy it while he's there.
How long do you think that's going to be? I guess that's the question.
I don't think he's going anywhere until his boys leave. Unless, you know, the only thing I can think of. Right. The only thing I can think of, they go again. Now they went from Jackson State to he can't play D1. Now he's D1. Now you send him to the big bad SEC. Now what? I trust me, as a football fan, I want to see him go to Auburn. I want to see him go, like, knock heads. That would be a good place for him. We're talking about the Iron Bowl. Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious! Like,
Iron Bowl on steroids. Not that it needs any more hype.
It doesn't need any more hype. But a spectacle. Holy moly! Could you imagine?
That would.
That's the football fan in me. Like I said, I trust me. Like, I love Mike Norvell, like the Florida head coach. And if I wasn't so 100% behind him, I wouldn't be opposed to having Prime bring him back home. You know, like I said, before Willie Taggart, I'd have been all for it. Before.
They just I think that's why Coach Prime has a grudge against you guys, because you hired Taggart instead of hiring Coach Prime.
But then, like, if you look back, Prime wasn't coaching then, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
No, he was on NFL Network. He was trying to get into it, I think.
So, like, even that back then, if you could always say if you could go back and know what you knew now back then, everything would change, right? But, like, here we are, we just lose Jimbo Fisher. You want to just turn it over to a guy. Granted, he's everywhere. Like, in the locker room, they have his locker cased in shrines and everything, which as deservedly so as it should. But it's like, you're just going to hand it over to a guy who's never coached before?
But like, go
ahead.
If you did do that, let's say you took a chance and went for the PR splash with hiring Coach Prime over Taggart, like, maybe it would have worked, maybe it wouldn't, but he would have got players to come. Don't you think?
Yeah, but again, we had a different AD. We had a lot of different people in place back then that, like, trust me, no one was happy with the entire outside of our basketball program and our softball and soccer program, women's. No one was happy with anything that was going on with the men's side. No one. It was dismal. Like, I'm a proud Seminole to the day I die, but I wasn't exactly wearing my stuff with pride, and I wasn't wearing much of it, like, during Jimbo's last year and all the fighting going on between, this guy, that guy. And it's like, I thought the AD was a waste of time, and I'm like, that's where I'm loving where we're at right now is we have the most amazing AD, I think, in college sports, and I'm loving where we're going.
Well, it's going to be fun times for a while for Florida State.
And Miami, too. Miami's coming.
They're not quite there yet. Not the way Florida State is right now.
You look where they're turning around in a year from where they were last year to now.
Yeah, well,
it may not be a complete 180, but it's 160. It's close.
Yeah, they've definitely.
They have a quarterback.
They're good again. Yeah, they're good again.
They had a quarterback. They have a.
But they're good. They're not you guys. Not yet.
They don't have the depth yet. That's all. And that's where we were.
That'll take a couple of years to recruit and get a whole new.
I'm more curious to see if, like, what Dion does next. Right? Does he stay? Can he recruit a cycle? Right? What kind of how many guys can he get in the recruiting cycle to does he want to coach? Because you never really hear like maybe I missed it, but like what brought you into coaching? Like, how many times do the interviewers always ask that question, right? Like, what got you into coaching? I haven't seen anything. No one's asked him that. I don't think, unless I missed it, I haven't seen anything close to that. And that would be like an interesting question. Be like, he's not going to come out and tell you exactly, but
he probably misses competing.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. But it's just
that's what most guys do it, right?
And like after his sons leave, how much longer does he want to do it? Right? Because if you're a leader of one of these institutional football teams, you kind of want someone that you have the possibility to keeping long term, right? It's not like professional sports where you want to change them every 3 years. So, like I said, he's definitely there's no doubt. If I'm a DB, I know where I want to go. Why would I want to learn from the best? Period. End of story. Right? There's stuff that those kids that I guarantee his son knows in the secondary that he's never heard of. Other players, great players, probably never heard of when it comes from his father. And kudos to his kids too for wanting to go play college football for your dad. At the same token, I deal with that with my high school son. Like, he don't listen to a damn thing I say, and it's like, okay, you'll go ask somebody else. But that shows you that the one thing I do really, really, really love is he talks about, like, when he talks to parents, he's like, "You're going to give me a boy, and I'm going to return you a man." Like that's all a dad wants to hear, right? Hold them accountable, turn them into men. That's as good as it gets. Real life, right there. That's the one thing one of the main things I love about what he does and what he says.
Are you still going with your boys up to Clemson this week, Doug?
It's still on the table. Let's put it that way.
It's still on the table.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Florida State. I don't know if you heard, Doug. Florida State's going to Clemson this Saturday, high noon. Florida State laying 2 on the road. I didn't believe you when you told me that Clemson wasn't ranked because of one game. I don't understand how you go from 5th to not ranked because of one game against it.
8 or 9 to not ranked at all. So you're telling me right now you're telling me right now if Clemson played Tennessee, you're gonna, after watching last week's game, you're gonna make Tennessee the favorite? Get out of my face with that. Like, Clemson didn't forget what they're doing. They just decided to hand Duke the ball 4 or 5 times. Like,
they didn't play a great game.
They played terribly.
Yeah, they were bad.
But they turned the ball over. Like, they ran the ball. I mean, between the 20s, they were just up and down and up and down. That's what I don't. That's the funny thing. It's
That's kind of what happened with Florida when they played. When they played Utah a couple of weeks ago.
Utah had a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
you better win. They should win that game.
Yeah,
my opinion.
Yeah.
Doug, your thoughts?
Yes.
Your thoughts on Florida State Clemson on Saturday?
I still think we win. I don't think we've seen the best out of Clemson yet. I think they've been holding back a lot of the things they want to do offensively. Part of me thinks we did a lot of vanilla stuff last week against BC, and it almost bit us. I still feel like we cannot be, like, our offense cannot be stopped. The only people that can stop us is us. Penalties, giving the ball away. The only thing that concerns me is like the atmosphere. It's a noon game. I would rather than a night game. I think the night game has been crazier, but I have faith in Norvell's going to get them ready to play, and Norvell's going to have they're going to play a good game, and I feel like if we play a good game, we can beat anybody in the country.
I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a dogfight, but I think you guys have the better quarterback.
Yes.
Travis.
Yeah, that quarterback.
That's where I'm going to lean.
That Klubnik kid is freaking special, man. Like, that kid's really, really, really good. I don't think they've used him the right way yet. I don't think they've surrounded him with enough skill guys. Shipley has killed us for 2 years. I think Mufasa, I call him Mufasa. The other running back is a tank. I just don't think they have they don't have that Sammy Watkins, the list goes, Mike Williams. They don't have those boys on the outside that they desperately need for this kid to show off all his skill. I think we can get pressure. If we get pressure on the quarterback, like it's like anything else, if we get pressure and can get home with 4, they're in trouble. I just don't think, number 1, stop Shipley. 2, put him in, down, like third down in distances and get after the quarterback and make him make quick decisions. I think we will be all right. Coming off last week, we didn't do any of that, and we almost lost. But I still don't feel as bad as we played. We still put 31 points up, and I just don't see. And again, like, the one thing I will say, that Clemson's got 2 corners that can match up with Johnny Wilson and Coleman. So that's going to be fun to watch. I think these 2 guys that Florida State's receivers are going up against will be the best corners they face all year, if they can get separation. And it all depends on Jordan Travis's shoulder. Because if he's not a threat to run, that makes that read option a lot easier to read.
Okay, so Doug,
Brad,
I want to get to this quick because I don't want to make too big a deal out of this, but my Rutgers Scarlet Knights, they had a nice win at home against the shitty Virginia Tech team.
Oh yeah, okay. I saw
what
that.
do they have to do against Michigan to earn some respect around the country?
Win.
How competitive do they have to be? I mean, is it going to take a win? Do they have to be?
Where is it? Where is it? I'm looking at it for right now.
Big House.
It's at where? Rutgers?
No, it's at Michigan, unfortunately.
I always feel like compete for a half.
Well, hold on. Who does Michigan play next week?
That I don't know.
I'm looking for it right now. Is it a noon game? Rutgers at Michigan, 12. Here we go.
Yeah, noon.
It's a noon game in the Big
I
House.
feel like they got to play
Includes
somebody.
Michigan.
Nebraska. Like, there's another one. Look at Michigan's schedule. They play Penn State.
It's terrible. They do this every year. Michigan does this every year.
Like, stop it.
At least Ohio State is like wised up and like they.
Play
Ohio
somebody.
State used to do that. They used to play Youngstown State and like nobody else, and then go into the Big Ten. They've had Notre Dame on. They played Oklahoma when they had Baker a few years ago. You know, they've stepped up and they do stuff now with Ryan Day. Michigan doesn't do anything, and then they get smacked in the playoff, and they wonder why. That's why you don't test yourself, and you think you're all that in a bag of chips when you beat Ohio
do you
State.
think? How many points does Rutgers need to lose by to get some respect,
What's the
some
spread?
real-time respect?
If they cover, I'll respect them.
What's the spread?
40. I have them right here, actually. Hold on.
No, it can't be 4. I don't think it's going to be 40.
No, it's not. Probably not that much.
I would say if you
It's
think
at
about it,
noon, right?
it's like 24-10, 31-10, even 31-10 is not. I mean, like, I'm looking at Rutgers doesn't look that. They don't look horrible.
They play I think they play pretty well. They've got a real good running game. That I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against Michigan. That's part of the problem. Their passing game. They have one real good receiver, and then that's it. But they have a couple of really good running backs. Magawa, I think that's his name. He's really good, and I think that they can they'll be able to run the ball a little bit, you know, and their defense seems to be pretty good. The question is, how long can they keep it close? Because they've had a habit of getting off to slow starts, and then finally being able to just bury somebody right before the right after the half. You know,
Michigan's
they wear teams down.
Favored by 24.
Huh?
Michigan's favored by 24.
All right. So if they can be within like 17,
If they cover,
okay. So you want them to cover?
I would think they could cover.
I think they should be able to cover. I think they're good enough to cover.
I just don't think Michigan's offense is like the only thing that's different is that Homeboy's coming back this week, right?
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah,
they might-
Harbaugh.
They might get a
Yeah.
little extra juice for that.
Yeah.
They might
So
get a little extra juice.
the third, like if a 34-17 loss, would that be like something that people would think, okay?
Yeah, I would think that. I mean, because I don't think Michigan's given up more than 6 points or 7 points all year. Yeah,
Have they played anybody worth talking about?
but they played East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green.
Well,
They haven't given
Rutgers is better than all those teams.
They haven't given up more than 7 points. So, I mean, honestly, in this day and age, week to week, you never know. I mean, like, you just never know.
I mean, Rutgers has played the same kind of schedule Michigan has. They held
Schedule, if you think about it, just by names alone, Virginia Tech, Temple, and Northwestern, Big
Yeah.
Ten, ACC, and whatever Temple is now, whatever conference they still are in.
Yeah, I mean, they can't match up when teams have 5-star recruits. Rutgers doesn't have that. Although they did just sign a 3-star recruit this weekend as a quarterback, which is big for them. We'll see what happens there.
They seem to be getting better, trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I want to. I mean, everybody's like, well, this is the big test. After they lose by 50, nobody's gonna talk about it again. I'm like, I don't think they're good. I think
You're
they're
halfway
better.
to bowl eligibility. You're halfway to bowl eligibility. You're 3 wins away.
Yeah, listen, they'll beat Wagner next week, so they'll be 2 wins
That's
away.
4, so you're 2 wins away.
Yeah, but Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State aren't going to be the 2 wins that they're going to get.
No.
Yeah, Illinois maybe, Indiana maybe. I think and
Indiana's
Michigan State-
scrappy with that coach.
and
They just 1 week they're really good, 1 week they really bad.
I think they could beat Michigan State too. Michigan State stinks.
Well, they threw in the towel. That place is a freaking that dumpster fire.
Yeah, those are 3 games I think they could win. I don't know that they're going to win. I mean, I think the Maryland game is winnable too.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see them lose by 50 against Michigan.
I don't think they'll lose by 50. I don't think Michigan has that kind of offense.
Yeah, I think that Rutgers. I honestly think that they're a lot better than they've been the last 2 years. I think this is probably the best team they've had in a while now. You know,
So
they got two real good. I'll tell you what, they got two real good cornerbacks, and one of them's going to be a first round pick. That kid Melton.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a first round pick, and the other guy's pretty darn good too. I don't know if he got hurt in the fourth quarter. I just don't know if he's going to be, if he's going to be out for the Michigan game. I would hope not. But their corners are good. I'm just concerned about whether they get whether their front four ends up getting overwhelmed because they're basically two-star recruits against five-star recruits, and that's tough to handle.
Then again, look at Texas A&M. They're nothing but five-star recruits, and they're like they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So,
speaking of it, we want to touch. Do anybody want to repick the AFC East?
Oh boy.
Yeah, like me, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
yeah,
going down. That sucks. Hold on, we're gonna get into the NFL.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. We got Royal Billiards. They're real cool. We got a message from them. Right?
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
All right, there you have it. Check out Royal Billiards and Recreation, the coolest place for all your game room and man cave needs. For the last 41 years, this family-owned business has been the premier game room store of the Delaware Valley, stocked with the very best in pool tables and accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, and bar stools. Turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. They have hot tubs, too. Stop by Royal Billiards, located 515 Bethlehem Pike in Colmar, Pennsylvania, or on the website right there at the bottom of the screen, royalbilliard.com, for everything fun for your home or office. There you have it. Yes, we can repick the AFC East. The Jets, I mean, that's a shame. That really is a shame.
That is a shame.
I went to East Stroudsburg, and a lot of my close friends up there were, in that Jets-Mets, section of the New York fan base. And what was it, 4 plays in, the guy pops his ACL. He claims he's going to try and come back if they make the playoffs. First off, they're not going to make the playoffs. So, Aaron, you can just tell him to chill out.
Not with Zach Wilson quarterbacking.
I mean,
I think he's trying to bring Carson Wentz in.
That's just, how
or Heineke, one of those two guys.
How guys can miss that bad? How can you miss that bad on somebody?
Talking about Zach Wilson, you mean?
There's two schools of thought, right?
He's terrible.
You're picking second, so you feel like you have to hit a home run, or you're scared to take the sure thing at 2. That's what. Because, this is where people get too enamored by, whoa, look at that throw on the run. He's in shorts. He should throw that ball. You know what I mean? Like, that, right? His workout's what basically made him the second overall pick. It's like there needs to be like a Barstool pre-draft talk show where you get like actual guys like ex guys who don't want to do it anymore. And be like, here, I want to know exactly what you would say behind closed doors about this. And just hear him like this, you know what I mean? Like, don't give me the fluff NFL Network crappy answer that we all hear every day. I want to hear, like, I wouldn't touch that guy with a 10-foot pole. Like, how do you want to pick – why would you want to pick that? It's like you're staring at Achilles Smith, right? Like,
God, yeah.
Don't pick that guy, right?
Yeah, Cincinnati really screwed that one up.
It's just – like, how can you miss that bad?
Blair Thomas.
I don't understand, because you have so much pre-draft stuff where you can talk to him and have film session with him. Zach Wilson can't read film or can't read defenses. Like, you have to be able to identify that watching film with him in pre-draft. Same thing with my boy in Chicago. He can't read defenses at all.
Couldn't either. Tua admitted it after year 2. I didn't watch any film. It looks like it. Like, no shit. Like, I just don't understand. Like, what questions are you asking? What, like, analytic nerd is writing these questions and not asking them the real questions? Like, I get it. The college game is so different. It's never been like it's almost like the NFL. Just because how many times in growing up, at least in my generation, was like, that's a great college quarterback, but that won't work in the NFL. And it's almost gotten to the point where like the NFL is like, all right, in order, like, we have to dumb down our stuff so some of these guys can work in the NFL. Like, not so much dumb it down, but like they have definitely changed. Like, you're telling me 15 years ago you would never see the read option in the NFL. Never.
No.
Right? Even and it was successful, right? Think of other things that were successful in the college game that, like, you can't do that in the NFL. And now it's almost like they brought that. Someone finally said, hey, if we're going to draft them, we might as well try it, right? And then go from there, like, so I just can't see how you can miss. It's not like even like the only sport you can't really do that with is baseball. They hand you, bullshit questionnaires about, like, you answer them, but it's so BS. Like, there's no, like, yeah, the scout talks to you, but he doesn't sit down and ask you, like, you don't sit down with people and ask, like, the real questions. Like, but, like, I would think, like, I'm not an NFL GM, and I've never been in the draft room for an NFL team picking in the first round, but I would think crazy me would be like, would actually, like, I mean, hell, look at what Gruden used to do with the quarterbacks, right? Like in that show he had on ESPN, he would, like, go over film with the guys before and after the draft. I'm like, if you can't read film, wouldn't that be something you should find out before you draft the guy? Like,
you would think so.
I mean, my goodness gracious. Like, either, like, you can't tell me now the Bears have gone through another coach that can't seem to figure out this kid's skill set. And eventually it has to be the player. Eventually, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're a Jets player, as much as I can't stand the Jets and I grew up hating them because I'm a Dolphins fan, what do you think Dalvin Cook thought when he looked at Aaron Rodgers sitting on the
He's saying, why the hell did I come here?
What the hell am I looking at? Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna
that and Breece Hall is a real good running back, and he won't get that many carries.
They won't get that many carries because, like, as good as the Jets defense is, they're going to be behind a lot.
Yeah, well, they can't score, and they're going to be on the field goal. They're going to be on the field goal game like they were last year.
They're going to. I mean, like, it doesn't take much to freaking. You get them down 2 scores, it's over.
Oh yeah,
you can't do anything. So, anyway, I just thought it was like it's thinking back. It was a week last week during this show is when he went down, and like how things have changed so rapidly in the NFL from one week to the next.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's just it really is a shame. Your Dolphins are looking pretty good. Their defense still.
Well, that's the pick.
Shaky.
Oh, like I said, last night was a game that take that game last night. We were in complete control of that game, and you look up and like that's a 1-score game. We're one slip away from tying this thing.
Yeah, but it just seemed like if the Dolphins really wanted to score, they could have scored any time they wanted.
But that's my point. Like,
didn't it seem like that to you?
Yeah, but again, it was still like, okay, like the blocked field goal. I thought that guy ran out of the stands. I didn't realize that was legal.
That was unbelievable. I've never seen that play before.
I thought somebody, like some idiot, ran on the field and was like, I'm going to block a field goal and then get thrown in jail. I'm like, wait a minute. That guy has a jersey on. He's got like pants and cleats on and a helmet. Like,
I thought somebody ran from the sideline just to get into a play.
Right, either the sideline or like some idiot ran out of the stands and just went on one to block a field goal in a game.
By the time the ball was in the holder's hand, he was already there ready to block it.
Right, like a jumping jack before he kicked it. Like,
I've never seen anything like that. That was an unbelievable call.
Again, it's like you sit there and you're like, okay, they're being patient, and then Tua does a Tua thing, right? They've stayed patient, wide run left, wide run right, keeping them stretched out because we don't have the guys the strength of New England's in the middle, right? So they keep run wide, quick dump, get them to running, get them back and forth. Don't take shots on the field because there's 3 safeties back there. You have a lead. You don't need to take a shot. What's he do? Takes a shot, picked off. And then
that was not a smart. That was not
no, but I mean, they were praising about how patient he's staying. I'm like, wow, this is different. He actually is staying patient. And then the patented, we go under center with the lead, and we fumble it. 3rd and 1, put the game away. All we got to do is take the center snap and hand it to the running back, and we fumble that snap. So in 2 games, we've lost 3 center to quarterback exchanges, not from the shotgun, under center.
Yeah, and that just shouldn't happen. I'll tell you what, though, Tua is. You can say what you want about him, accuracy wise. He's such an accurate quarterback. It's unbelievable how.
Yes, I give him that.
And he has such a nice touch on the ball too. It's just
until he does it for 17 weeks.
No, I know. I hear you. But boy,
I'm still going to be skeptical.
He throws some pretty passes though. He really does.
But again, it's the same question I always ask everybody. What do you think everybody else would do? But see, it goes back to the Zach Wilson thing, or even the Justin Fields thing. Credit for the first time. Credit the Miami Dolphins. What do you have at Alabama? Speed, massive, right? You had Waddle, Smith, right? Guys flying all over the place, right? Speed. What did they do? They drafted Waddle. They traded for Tyreek Hill. Granted, Tyreek Hill makes everybody better. I don't care what anybody says. Any team you put him on, you're guaranteed an extra 14 points a game.
Absolutely. He's unstoppable still.
But so, that's – I feel like, what do they always talk about the biggest difference between college football and pro football is the windows are smaller. Well, when you have guys running 4-2-4s all over the field, they're creating enough space on their own.
They put up that thing last night, that graphic last night. They have 4 guys that can run under 4.
There's 5 guys run under 4-3 on their offense. Yes.
Yeah. There was 5 guys that run under 4-3. How the hell do you find that many guys that can do that and actually play the game? There are a lot of guys that are fast, Doug, but most of the guys that are that fast really can't play the game.
Right, and that's
they can just run, and it's a little. If you remember a guy by the name of Ronaldo Nehemiah, nobody was ever faster than that guy, and he really couldn't play.
They've got. Mostert had 121 yards. Ahmed's fast. A. Chaney's fast.
Waddle can fly too.
Yeah, you're talking about
It's unbelievable. And Tua's not slow either.
He's slow.
Not really.
He's slow. He can't move. This ain't college. He can't move. I think Mac Jones beats him in a race.
Well, Mac Jones actually Mac Jones is not as bad as everybody says he is.
He's terrible.
Yeah, but
he stinks.
Hang on. He stinks. Okay, here's why.
Who does he have to throw to, though?
Juju Smith-Schuster.
He threw a couple of nice passes to him yesterday.
I thought the same thing yesterday, but then as the Patriots game, that game was going on, and I'm sitting here watching. He's got Devontae Parker, who was a former number 1 pick, who was a number 1 receiver with the Dolphins. He's got Hunter Henry, who was probably one of the best tight ends in the game. Mike Gesicki's probably the most underrated tight end in the game. Juju Smith-Schuster. That's 4 guys. Kendrick Bourne's not exactly a slouch. So you're talking about he's got 4 guys, 5 guys.
Okay, but there's nobody really. There's nobody that sticks out like that. None of those guys could play for Miami right now.
Well, Gesicki did last year. The only reason why they didn't bring him back is because it cost too much. They wanted him, but they took the blocker over him.
Well, that was probably smart.
Well, yeah, it was cheaper too.
Yeah, and they've got enough fast guys.
But it's not like last year. They've got some guys who will catch the ball for them this year compared to last year. Last year, I'll give it to you. They got Hunter Henry, and that was it.
Look, you got to look at it this way with them, okay? They play 2 very good teams already, okay? They play 2 teams that are just better than them, Miami and Dallas. I thought they were very competitive in both those games. That team's going to win some games this year, and they're going to give people trouble. If you don't go in there and play good smart football, they're going to beat you.
Oh, no question. You still have the Yoda running the team.
Yeah.
He's, you know,
Yeah, and their defense is still pretty. They still have a pretty good defense.
they always find a way. They find a way to keep
They
it.
they stink. That Christian Gonzalez guy or whatever he was from Oregon, he looks like a player. So good for them. But the Patriots stink. Mac Jones stinks. Like they're gonna have a very tough time winning games in that division. I don't know what they're out of. I don't know what your out of conference schedule is.
Same as ours.
But you look down, and it was such a Patriots thing. You talked about it, like Dolphins dominating. They block that field goal, and then they go down. They get a touchdown, which they cheated every which way you could cheat on a football play. They cheated
there was like
on that
6
touchdown.
flags dropped on one play. You're right. There were 6 flags on one play. No one threw a flag on anything.
No one did anything. You got Lyman downfield.
Collinsworth brought that up. Yeah, Collinsworth brought that up. He said, I mean, that was a completely illegal play, and then he showed all the illegal things they did.
There was 3 linemen downfield, and the tight end was pushing one of our guys, like blocking him, and they're like, oh wait, it's still a pass play. And they just let him go, and he caught the touchdown. It's like, wait a minute. That's what happens when Bill Belichick spikes the replay flag at a referee on the sideline. He gets calls. You guys see that?
Yes.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. That was the slam dunk.
I actually like that. That was actually, but he's like a mad scientist, dude. Like his teams can be awful, and the other team can be way better. And you blink, and they're 1 score away. I'm like, you put that game in December with it snowing, they find a way to win that game. It happens all the damn time.
They're
all right.
They're ugly, but they'll they
Someone's got to win next week. They play the Jets. So
I don't know that they'll beat the Jets.
He'll twist. I mean, Belichick's his defense game that'll twist Zach Wilson into a pretzel. So they'll win. Those.
They might.
I don't.
They might. Could be like 10.
I don't know what. I don't know.
Could that be like a Jets, 10? That could be a 10-3 game.
At least the Jets were able to beat the Bills in Week 1 because I don't know how many more games they're going to win with that kid.
That was a miracle.
Miracles do happen. Josh Allen was point shaving. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it.
Josh Allen was smoking something
terrible.
that was unbelievable. Then you see that the way he played against the Raiders is like, wait a minute, is that the same guy?
That's what we can do, and that's my biggest beef with the guy. He's not consistent. Like Mahomes didn't play good yesterday, but they won. And you look at his stats, like, okay, wow, he didn't really play that bad because he doesn't turn the ball over. When Josh Allen goes bad, he gets fumbles, he throws picks. It's bad.
That is really bad.
Yeah,
I do want to get into the NFC East because the NFC East has been flexing its muscles throughout here in the early seasons. 3 of the 4 teams are undefeated, and the Giants, after what was it, 6 quarters of bad football, Brad?
Horrendous football.
Got it together.
Actually, if you want to count last year's playoffs, it's more like 10 quarters of bad football. If you look at it, Rob, before they rallied.
Let me just Brad, I'm sorry. We'll get you on the Giants. In 2018, let me tell you about our friends at hats.com. In 2018, Eagles legend Brian Dawkins was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. To commemorate this moment, B-Dawk designed and launched an exclusive collaboration with Bowman Hat Company, America's oldest hat maker, on hats.com. Brian's love of hats and the Eagles were on proud display in Kenton, and now you can find yourself in that same iconic Hall of Fame fedora. Just go to hats.com and search for Brian Dawkins. Use promo code Philly right there on the screen for 15% off your order. So, Brad, Giants outscored 60-0.
Well, actually, Rob, if you go back to the playoff game against the Eagles, and why not? I'm sadistic, and I seem to love pain when it comes to the Giants. They were outscored 98-7. Okay, over the last 10 quarters of football that they played, because they lost 38-7 to the Eagles, 40-0, and then it was 20-0. So that's 98-7 in 10 quarters of football. And then all of a sudden somebody turned on the lights, and they started scoring. Now, from what I heard, Dable took over the play calling, and he also changed the plays and started letting Jones run and letting him do sprint outs, because that seems to be his strength. He is not a drop back passer, and I think they're finally, if they get it through their heads and stop trying to make him a drop back passer and play to his strengths, I think that they'll have a lot more success, because he played extremely well in the second half. I mean, he threw for 259 yards in the second half.
I just can't see how, I don't see the Giants doing much.
Well, let's see what happens against San Francisco. Let's see them go out and play a good game against them and win the game. That would be
problem against
especially without Barkley. You know what? That would be very Giant-like for them to go out and win that game, and then come home and lose to a god awful team like the Reds, like the Commanders or whatever you want to call them. Oh, come on, the Commanders have played nobody.
You were down 20.
Well, no, yesterday they won
To a junior varsity team. You were down 20-0 to a junior varsity team.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, Doug. They were playing
Arizona's
bad football. I find it amazing though that they were able to get it together and come back and win that game. I mean, it was 28-7 with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then they finally started moving the ball, and all of a sudden, you know, it's 28-21, and that's when I texted Rob and I said, "Game on." Basically,
I just don't see how you can start Joshua Dobbs as your starting quarterback in the NFL. How is that? How does that work?
Well, they're clearly. I mean, if you look at their draft,
are they trying
to?
Are they trying to lose so they can get the number one pick?
Yeah, but who's the quarterback they want that bad that they have to lose every game?
Well, they want Caleb Williams, I would assume, but I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is at the top of the draft, so they're going to have 2 picks in the top 10 because they got Houston's pick as well.
Okay, for Hopkins, right?
No,
wasn't it the Hopkins trade?
They just trade because the Texans, they got Stroud and Will Anderson.
Okay.
This year. So then next year, the plan, I guess, in Arizona is to have 2 top 5, top 10 picks to do whatever with. And then you'll have Kyler Murray coming back. I think Kyler Murray is going to get traded out of there. Maybe this year at the deadline.
Maybe to the
I
Jets.
like Atlanta. I like Atlanta a lot for Kyler Murray. I like that fit. I like him with Bijan and Pitts and Drake London. I think that's a perfect fit for Kyler Murray. Well, Kyler Murray, he's going to have to do his part, but Desmond Ridder blows. Like, he's not good at all. And the Falcons are 2-0. Good for them.
At least he's watching film and doesn't put in his contract that you can't play video games.
Yeah.
True. But I think Arthur Smith is also a brilliant coach. Maybe he can get Kyler Murray to try. I don't know. I just look at the personnel from a personnel standpoint. I think that Kyler Murray in Atlanta is a really good fit. And then they'll get even more draft picks over there in Arizona. Problem is they have Jonathan Gannon, who doesn't know his ass from his elbow. We know that here in Philadelphia more than anybody because of that Super Bowl. And you just look at Jonathan Gannon. He's just a hate-the-face guy. You just want to punch him. Like, he stands there. He's got the long giraffe neck. He always looks confused. And then he wants to – but then, like, behind closed doors, he wants to take credit for everything that went good and say anything that went bad. Oh, that's not me.
Sounds like Dabo Swinney.
That wasn't me. I told Nick Sirianni to give the play calls last year to Shane Steichen. That was my idea. So what happened in the Super Bowl when you didn't blitz? No, that wasn't me. We were doing different things. Like, okay, well, maybe you should worry about the defense. Maybe we can actually have a parade and have a championship on one of the greatest seasons in the franchise's history. So, I mean, they'll never win with him. That guy sucks.
Karma. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, getting back to the NFC East, you got Dallas looks monstrous, but we've seen this before with Dallas.
Yeah, we've seen this
too early. The Washington Commanders look fantastic. 2-0. Yeah, they got late Hail Mary there at the end, but they really took over.
Yeah, but
that
you know what?
football
Give them credit though, because you know what? After the Hail Mary to get the touchdown, they stopped Russell Wilson in his tracks on that 2-point conversion.
Like, don't sleep on the enemies. I mean, my gosh, like, don't sleep on him. Like, that's got to be at least. You'd think it'd be worth at least a couple wins, not 4. I don't know, man. I have someone that you trust calling plays.
The enemy? Know where he went to college?
Colorado.
Yes, sir. Go Buffalo.
Oh God, here we go. Strike up the band.
Oh yeah, I'm in. I might
go to grad school. Sorry, I'm still.
I don't know, Doug. Like I might fill out my application. I might go to grad school now and just go to Colorado. Study farming or whatever they do out there.
Clemson.
They smoke a lot of weed out there, is what they do.
This is the last thing I'll say. I don't know if I brought this up last week, but do you realize that Clemson has cut Florida State's tickets in half, and they're not allowing the band to travel?
What?
Yep.
Is that normal? Does the band usually go to road games?
We're putting this in the upper deck because last time I don't know when I went in 2013, like there was like our band was in the they want no advantage at all whatsoever. They cut our tickets in half, and they're not letting the band travel.
The tickets in half, I don't have a problem with.
I do.
Yeah, but the band.
Of course you do.
There's 90,000 people there.
You gotta let the band go.
Cut it in half. Really?
The band?
Like, yeah. Seriously.
Doug, if I were the athletic director of Clemson, this is how many tickets I would give you.
And that's why when it was 2013, I would not have knelt it. I would have scored 70 when you had Taj Boyd and all the guys.
Totally your product.
Right. I'm like you said.
If you don't like a team running it up on you, then stop it.
I pray. Like I said, if there's ever a game I want to see him score 100 points, it's Saturday. It ain't gonna happen, but I want to see. Like I don't want to stop. I hope we call a timeout with 15 seconds left to put it in the end zone again. So the only thing
do you hate Clemson? Do you hate Clemson more than anyone?
Worst fan base in the history of sports.
Oh boy.
Because
worst fan base.
What do you mean by that?
Just
elaborate.
The rudest.
Okay.
Like nothing's sacred. Make the Northeast look like a Southern picnic compared to what these freaking people talk about. I have no. Like I said, nope. I have no love lost. They know I cannot stand them. And the feelings are probably mutual.
How did last year's game go?
We should have. Well, again, not making excuses, but we weren't deep enough. Defensive line got hurt going into the game. They opened it up. They had like that 8 minutes, the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. They put 21 points up. They blew it out, but we didn't quit. We made it a one-score game and had a chance like 4 minutes left. But it was like they took their foot off the gas. They were up big, and we came back and made it a game. We kept fighting, kept playing. I think it was 30. Forgot. I can't stand losing to Dabo Swinney. I think he's full of shit. I think it's all about him. Runs down the rock first. It's always something God-fearing this. No, stop it. Stop it. Like,
hey, Doug,
you're telling me you didn't. He hates NIL and he hates all that and he hates the transfer portal. All right, you're right. You're just telling me that you got Sammy Watkins to go to Clemson without giving him any money. Oh yeah, and how he's so God-fearing. Everybody from Clemson's, the greatest things in sliced bread. Deshaun Watson's got 250 massage therapists screaming rape, and you forgot about him, huh? You don't claim him anymore. He already won a national title. You forgot about that man you created. Okay. Whatever, buddy. You want to come at me about Jameis and some crab legs? Get out of my face. Like, stop it. Free shoes. I'd take a pair of free shoes over, whatever you want to call it, from what he was getting from his masseuses every week.
Doug, check out what Tyreek Hill said about Boston fans last night.
I couldn't hear it, but I saw it. I saw it. What I didn't hear what I saw them.
What did he say?
That they are the rudest fans in the NFL.
I said, "Yep."
They're still racist.
They're worse than us, and they're worse than you.
Oh, trust me, I've been on both sides of that one. I've
They're
heard
worse than-
them directed for me, and I've heard them directed at me, and they're absolutely correct. Like they can come up with some good ones.
they're pretty brutal.
Yeah,
I mean, you still hear players like with the racist stuff. Up in Boston.
For sure.
Yeah, I heard they said some pretty nasty things to Adam Jones too. Which is,
Adam Jones, Torrey Hunter.
I mean, what the hell is wrong with that?
Torrey had him on his he had like 8 places where he wouldn't play in his contract, and Boston was one of them.
Yeah, I'll bet. Do you remember a player by the name of Tony Armas?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what they used to call him in Boston? They used to chant in the bleachers "harmless" instead of Armas. They called him "harmless" because he was so bad in Boston. I mean,
I know.
Just make the guy be more tight and more nervous when you do that.
I'll never forget. Remember, I think Young Kim, the sidearm guy for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Just got to Boston. It's like one of our first or second home games in Fenway Park, and it's like the 5th inning. It's like you in between innings, and crowds are normal, cheery, kind of doing stuff, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, you just hear just a rash of like ruckus and boos. And I'm like, what? I hope that's not me they're booing at. Like, what's going on? And it was Young Kim came out of the dugout to walk to the bullpen. They booed that poor man from the time to the time he was seen to the time he ran all the way to the bullpen and hid. Anytime he was seen, the fans started booing. And he I ain't gonna lie, he double-barreled them. Just because he was awful. And then they double-barreled the fans. Like, if you ever really want to get your home crowd on your side when you get booed, give them the double finger. They'll love you in a minute. I mean, it's just nail your coffin right there. Like, double-barrel them. Nothing screams love than the double bird, right? And, I mean, it was like every single time. It was like, oh, BK just came out of the dugout. You knew it. After day 3, I was like, I know exactly when he gets out of the – and he just sat back there, and he did not want to come out. He didn't want to play catch. He wouldn't play catch.
Were they mad at him because he gave up those 2 home runs to the Yankees in the World Series?
Probably had something to do with it, but he gave up a ton when he was in Boston too. But I mean, it was.
Oh, he played for Boston too. Oh,
yeah, that's what I mean. He was on our team. It was relentless. Like, it was bad. Like, it was. I wasn't there when I witnessed all of it because he was like, he wouldn't even warm up the outfielder because they didn't want to. He didn't want to come out. Like, that's how bad it was. So, like I said, trust me, I've been on both sides. I've been booed in a lot of places, and there's some good ones up there. There's some. Granted, most of it was well deserved, but it was, like I said, it was. They know what to say.
Yes, Tyreek Hill. I think
they know what to say.
Yeah, he said he had a lot of choice words for Boston.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but you're saying Clemson is the worst, huh?
Yeah, by far. I mean, they're up there with Gator fans.
Yeah, I can believe
Clemson,
that.
Gators, and then like Miami fans, they're just like they're naive and dumb. I mean, they just if you live down here, you hear, oh, the U is back like 6,455,419 times a day. They score 1 touchdown. They're like, it's all about the U. I'm like, you never went there, so stop. Like, you don't even go to the games. You don't even know your quarterback's name. Like, stop it. So, like, they win 1 game. Like, they beat A&M, right? A&M was 5-7 last year. Why were they ranked in the top 20? Like, they're terrible. They're not good. They're not. Yeah, they get recruits, but who cares? It doesn't mean you're good.
No.
And like, they're 5-7 last year, and they're like, the U's back. We're back. We're now. We're gonna go up to Tallahassee. And it's like, settle down.
Wait till you play.
Right. Like, you'll have your turn. It's in November. Just chill. Like, and we almost beat Boston College. Like, all of you fans, like, well, see, did it? I'm like, look, man, you lost to Middle Tennessee State last year at home. Like, stop it. Like, anything can happen. So just
BC?
No, Middle Tennessee State beat Miami last year.
Oh, Miami. Oh, okay.
So
BC was pretty bad. BC's pretty bad. They lost to Rutgers last year.
Last year they were terrible.
Yeah, they were really.
They had like 8 or 9. Like I said, last year that was another thing too. Like, going on, I don't think like they had like 8 offensive linemen hurt last year when they came to Tallahassee, and we boat raced them. We blew them out. I think maybe they had the red bandana game, which don't ever put, like, that stuff matters. the emotional game, bandana day, more than half the team was sick, noon game, first road test, injuries. Sounds like excuses are just reality. And they're kids. They're still college kids. They're still like they're not well-oiled machines, right? They're
20 years old. They're 20 years old.
18 to 24-year-olds. They're still like, it can happen. The dynamic of college football isn't what it used to be, where you have one or two good teams and everybody else stinks. So a lot of teams that can be, at the last 5 years have proven anything. If you're not one of the top two elite teams, on any given day, most teams can beat most teams. It's just the reality of it.
Except the really bad ones.
Right. Or the really great ones, right? Georgia's not going to lose to Middle Tennessee State. But, South Carolina's not exactly a juggernaut. And they had them beat at halftime. And they make one drive in the second half. That game, it's a 3-point game. So, anything can happen.
All right, final thoughts. Anything we didn't cover? Anyone got anything they got to get off their chest before we wrap it up here? Sports Jeopardy's coming up next. Rivals coming up after that.
I said my piece about Clemson. I had to get my Dabo Sweeney rant out of the way.
There you go.
And if you see a guy run on the field, it's just me. If you see one foot,
you.
All
right. Well, you made it through. You made it through Orlando.
To the Phillies, what do the Phillies have to do against the Braves this week to get their swagger back? I feel like they can beat them.
I don't know if they're going to get their swagger back, but they limped into the playoffs last year. Not even worried about it. Like they're going to be in the playoffs. The Phillies are going to be in the playoffs.
Oh, they're going to be there. But here's the problem: what is going on? What is going on with what's his name? Your one pitcher there, the number 2
Anthony Dominguez. He stinks.
No, not him. Not him. Nola. What is going on with Nola?
He stinks.
He's
washed up. He's used. Like he pitched a lot of good innings for us. He had a good Phillies career, but based on what I've seen so far, I have no confidence.
You're going to re-sign him, you think?
I wouldn't. I bring in Trout with that money. Whatever. Everyone can clamor it for years. And I said everyone. I keep telling people it's not realistic.
I wouldn't touch Trout with a 10-foot pole.
I wouldn't touch Ohtani either.
I mean, I wouldn't touch of the three of them. Nola's by far the least.
Nola's not going to cost you $500 million either.
Yeah, no.
Nola, Ohtani, that's just not.
Ohtani's not. Ohtani's probably not going to play till May, and he's not going to pitch at all next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, someone can sign him. That's fine. I'm not paying Nola.
Mike Trout. I mean,
Mike Trout hasn't exactly played a full season in 3 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch Mike Trout with all that money. I mean, if I'm the Yankees, it's like we get enough injuries. We got to get some guys who can stay healthy and play. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense for us at all.
And then you have Doug, who talked about it all the time, about the Johan Santana effect. When Johan Santana pushed for that no-hitter, forget what year you said it was, and then he wasn't any good the whole rest of the season. Hello, Michael Lorenzen. If you listen to this show during that, and you saw what Michael Lorenzen did with all those pitches to get that no-hitter, he hasn't done anything since.
People think 5 days is a lot to rest in between, but that messes up a lot.
Everyone kind of justified it because he had 8 or 9 off because they were doing a 6-man and they had some off days in there, but he hasn't done anything since.
Look at Corey Kluber
I don't know.
last year.
It doesn't matter.
Corey Kluber with the Yankees. He threw a no-hitter. He threw a no-hitter, and then the next game he ended up getting hurt after 3 innings because he threw all those pitches the week before.
It's a no-win situation. Every manager wants to manage one, right? But every manager doesn't want that's the situation. Because you're in a no-win situation. Take the guy out, you're land-based, right? You keep the guy in, he finishes it, great, woohoo, and then 2 starts later he blows his elbow out. Now what? Now you're a villain again. So it's a baseball nut. I'm a baseball nut. I love stuff like that. That stuff's magical. One of my fondest memories of the big leagues was being on the field when Eric Milton threw his in 1999. But there's still, it happens. It's just funny that the taxing, the high stress. John Smoltz in the playoffs talks about high leverage innings.
Yep.
Those matter. Those pitches are different than Like that's where playoff innings are different than regular season innings.
Doug, what are your feelings about the Twins this year? It's pretty obvious they're going to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they're playing the division pretty much punted it to them.
I understand that, but still,
they're
going to go in. Nobody is going to be paying a bit of attention to them. They've got absolutely nothing to lose, which to me makes you a dangerous team.
Everybody's dangerous in the playoffs. Everybody. I don't care what anybody says. And everybody's, the Braves are great. The Braves are great, but
they're going to have a lot of pressure on them because everybody expects them to win. Like the Twins, nobody's paying attention to them. They're going to have the 3 seed. They're probably going to play the best team in the playoffs in the American League, right? So that's probably going to be either Texas or the Mariners because it looks like Houston's going to win that division. So can they beat Texas or the Mariners in the first round?
Yeah. Or
no? What about Tampa Bay?
I think they can beat anybody in the first round. If you're short on something, if you're short a starter, which I think they are, if you're short a little bit, like maybe lineup wise, you want the short series, the shortest series you can possibly. If you have built, like I said, if you have an extra pitcher, if your lineup's deep, right, like Houston's is, you want the short series. Hate you. I love the short series in Minnesota. As a Red Sox and a Yankee, I didn't like the short series. 2007, we lost to the Indians. If that's a 7-game series, there's no doubt in my mind we win it. There's no doubt in my mind. Not taking anything away from them, but the short series, anything can happen. One bad bounce, one good game by a pitcher, now your backs are against the wall. So the first
Tampa Bay, you know what? Tampa Bay, I thought really spit the bit this weekend. They won those first 2 games against Baltimore this weekend to get themselves tied for first place, and then the next 2 games, Baltimore came back, chewed them up 8-0 on Saturday night to get back into first place, and then yesterday Tampa Bay blows a big lead, and Baltimore comes back and beats them 5-4 in 10 innings.
Yeah, but all these damn extra wild cards, they've ruined division races. They've ruined it.
I know with that, but that's not just a division race, Doug. That's first place with the bye because that's the best record in the American League. So that's big.
Does the bye really help you in baseball?
I think it does for the pitchers because the pitchers get to rest their arms a little bit. I mean, it's a long season and they throw a lot of innings, and I think they need rest.
What do you think one extra day does? Why do you think pitchers hate the 6-man rotation?
Well, maybe starting pitchers, but what about your bullpens?
Because it's different.
It's different.
Yeah, but your bullpens could definitely use a couple of days off.
I'm just telling you play every day for 250 straight days.
That's true.
And then you win the bye, and you sit for 4 or 5 days, which feels like a month. There are some hitters that it's going to take them – by the time their series is over with, they might be home. By the time they start to feel somewhat right again,
But it's only 2 games. But it's only a 3-game series, though.
Yeah, 3 days is a long time in baseball. A long time.
As a hitter, how much does it
forever? It felt like a month.
Well, how does it? Did it affect you a lot?
I hated the playoff whether you play a game day off, play a game day off. That's just it takes forever.
Does it mess up your time? I mean, what is?
Yeah, it does. You're locked in, but it's still not the same thing. We're creatures of habit. We want to play every single day. Like there's nothing worse than the division series that's play off day after the season, maybe 2. Then you play a game. Then you got a day off. Then you play a game. And then you day off because you'll travel. It's like so you're playing 2 games in 4 days. It's just not what we do. It's different. And again, some days some guys need rest. Some days some years you like the rest. Some years you hated it. If you're rolling, the last thing you want to do is take a day off.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. That's a good point.
And
if you're the Orioles, though, what do you think is a good? What do you think is a better?
I would want to play 3 games in one day if I was the Orioles. They're young. Don't stop. Don't give them time to think about what the hell's going on. I want y'all to look up at the end of October and see where we are. Don't blink. Don't blink until then.
Yeah, the Orioles at this point, that guy Gunnar Henderson is probably going to be the Rookie of the Year, and he looks like an unbelievable shortstop. I mean, he may be one of the best ever at some point if his career continues the way it started this year. They've got a guy in the minor leagues, this guy Holiday, who's supposed to be even Matt Holiday's kid, supposed to be even better.
Yeah, and the other one's even better than him. The other Holiday's even better.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, that team is.
Who won the Rookie of the Year last year? Exactly. Exactly. That's what Rookie of the Years mean.
No, I get that, but when a guy is as good as this guy, it
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter until they do it for a consecutive. Get consistent. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just saying. You can have great years. Guys have great years. You can have a great year your rookie year. It doesn't mean you're necessarily established big leaguer. I've seen it more times than not.
Yeah, look at Miguel Andujar and the Yankees.
Well, it's just there's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Ben Grieve was the best player I ever saw for a long time, and Ben Grieve in 2 years was like fell off the planet.
Joe Charbonneau and the Indians a long time ago. He was a classic one.
I'm not taking anything away from him because hey, great year, absolutely wonderful, amazing. Happy. Rookie of the years means something. It's a you only give it to one guy a year.
Yeah,
and it's got to be your first year. So anybody that has success like that, more power to you. Awesome. But it's like that's to expect that again. Whoa. It's a lot of heat on a kid for, a lot of things that go into that. Whether, everybody wants to be better, and then all of a sudden you try to do more and you end up doing less. So hopefully this kid keeps doing what he's doing because he's on a good squad and a bunch of young guys, and it's going to be fun to watch in October.
Okay, I got that off my chest.
Oh, good.
All right, Sports Jeopardy, Pandemonium's coming up next. Go Noles on Saturday. We'll be right back here for a special Monday Night Football edition. Eagles taking on Tampa Bay next Monday night. We'll have you full coverage there. Thank you to our sponsors at Royal Billiards and Hats.com. Also, Boggia's Breads. Thank you to everyone who liked, subscribed, and shared our show tonight. Until next Monday, peace out, everybody.